we need to talk about the state of The Sims 4. It has been out for nearly a decade, and every pack seems to add to the mountain of bugs and game instability that already exist. Sure, some things get fixed, but a lot hasn't. Is The Sims 4 too old? Or are the Sims team just churning out too much content? First, we need to talk about the foundations of the game before answering this question. Project Olympus was the name of the prototype for Sims 4. It was designed to be an online multiplayer game, but after negative responses from testers and SimCity's failure, they abandoned this idea. However, the game was quite late into development, so the leftovers were used and repurposed to release The Sims 4. This resulted in a very bare-bones base game that was a disappointment. The Sims 4 had less features than its predecessor had at launch. For example, toddlers were not an available live state, and basic build functions such as pools and basements were not included. The world maps were also very bland, and the game itself looked really cartoony in nature. For example, if you look at the original base game hair textures compared to the newer hairs, the difference is quite substantial. And who can forget the awful blocky furniture the game came with? But this was kind of a perfect model for making new DLCs since the base game lacked so much. Released in June 2016, Dine Out is notorious for being filled with bugs and broken mechanics, many which still haven't been fixed. The modding community had to step in and fix it, thanks Carl. One of the most egregious bugs is how restaurant staff will stand there and do nothing. How is a restaurant meant to run when the staff won't work? Food therefore can take a while to be served, and Sims have a habit of leaving their seat mid-meal to look at a painting or to talk to a random Sim. Imagine being on a date with someone and they get up halfway through to chat with some stranger. Running a restaurant also comes with an array of issues too, mostly because staff stand around and do nothing. Another DLC famously buggy on launch was My Wedding Stories, which was released in February 2022. This pack added a bunch of new events and wedding functions, except it didn't work. Most of the special activities at wedding events were broken. Sims didn't wear the correct formal attire, or walk down the aisle, or cut wedding cakes, and guests weren't paying attention to the married Sims at all. Officiants would stand around doing nothing like in Dine Out, and guests just did whatever they wanted. Although there were patches that fixed some of these issues, wedding events are still unfunctional for a lot of players. Some activities that remain broken are the sweetheart dance and exchanging vows at a wedding arch. Again, modders had to come in and provide fixes for the pack. Also released in 2022, High School Years was yet another letdown. It added a new playable high school and that really awful social bunny feature. Again, the pack did not work as intended. Grades weren't going up or down properly, acne breakouts still happened despite the feature being turned off, and Sims constantly harass your Sim to be best friends, among other things. The high school itself is a problematic lot. It's really big and takes Sims a while to reach their classes. And during class, other students often get out of their seat to leave the classroom or sit on the floor to do homework. Unlike the other two packs we already talked about, service Sims and students often stood around doing nothing. This pack also came with a game update that unintentionally added incest to the game, as well as messing up aging, wants and fame. Like usual, there were a couple of patches that fixed the game breaking issues, but other bugs remain and are yet to be fixed. For example, the social bunny feature is still a complete mess, with Sims posting without you telling them to, and non-team Sims posting statuses about high school topics, which is really weird. Luckily, there are mods that exist to make Social Bunny more entertaining, as well as actual fixes, but it really shouldn't be up to modders to sort out the game. 2023 saw a lot of new packs, which came with even more bugs. The first expansion pack of the year was Growing Together, which introduced a new life state, Infants. This messed up short and long lifespans in the game, causing Sims to randomly age up. Not to mention, aging a Sim when they had certain moodlets like a loose tooth would cause black voids to appear, or Sims' facial features randomly changing. There was also a noticeable escalation of simulation lag. The last expansion pack of the year was For Rent, which added residential rentals to the game. Unfortunately, this pack brought a lot of problems, most notably save corruption, which took 2 months for the Sims team to fix. There are many other bugs too, such as rent prices going through the roof, and certain lots causing game crashes. Residential rental lots were, and still are, extremely laggy in build and buy mode. I actually made a video playing with For Rent when it first came out. I planned to make a part 2, which I started recording, but encountered several problems with the rental unit I was playing with. Tenants weren't leaving their flat, and they would teleport outside the lot for work, and they rarely used their communal kitchen, which was strange considering I built their homes to not contain kitchens. Nothing was really happening in the game. I thought it was due to zoning areas incorrectly. Tried to fix it, but the game wouldn't recognise the outdoor area as a zone that could be selected for sharing despite it being in a closed area. The beginning of the year of 2024 saw 2 new kits, Castle Estate and Goth Galore. Most people would assume kits shouldn't be buggy as they're only about adding assets to the game, but a certain clothing item in Goth Galore caused issues when female Sims wore it. It would change the appearance of the eyes, making them bigger, and recently there was a new stuff pack, Crystal Creations. This came with a pre-patch that fixed some bugs but caused more. Many players were unable to have their Sims perform social interactions, which prompted an emergency patch before the pack released. The patch also added an obnoxiously pulsating cart button in-game to allow players to purchase packs without leaving the game. This button shows no matter what mode you are in. The audacity, right? And Crystal Creations itself also came with a bug. When teen Sims equip the new handcrafted jewellery, it causes them to lose weight and their faces to shrink, and some players have said this has happened with elders too. Another bug that's came with the pack is the disappearance of moodlets, which can cause safes to break. And with the new stuff pack, the Sims team had to cheat to show their new merch on Twitter while players were making a riot about the numerous bugs in the game. These bugs make you wonder if there even is a QA team. It seems that it's up to players to find bugs and report them, with many of these bugs being fixed by modders. And of course, there are plenty of annoying bugs that have been in the game for ages, but still haven't been fixed properly. Plants reverting to dirt piles, plant weeds not being removed, excessive flirting, Sims not putting instruments back in their inventory, the calendar constantly flashing, maids, nannies and butlers not doing their jobs, routine issues, Sims randomly teleporting, fears not going away or reappearing after solving them, Sims excessively judging decor, co-workers doing nothing in active careers, excessive phone use, Sims autonomously performing disliked activities, always having a badly decorated moodlet, Gallery incorrectly labelling uploaded items as modded, doors and windows disappearing. And there of course are plenty more than this. For this next part, I want to go over how EA and The Sims has prioritised profit over game stability. Here we have each year of The Sims 4 being out and all the DLCs that have came out during these years. In 2021 you can see that the amount of DLCs almost doubled because kits were introduced. Compared to previous installments, The Sims 4 has far more DLCs, but that could be because it's been nearly 10 years since its release, and since the introduction of kits, obviously the number of DLCs per year has skyrocketed, due to them taking less time to produce. For previous games, the most DLCs in a year they saw were for The Sims 1, it was 2, Sims 2 it was 5, Sims 3 it was 6, although there was optional store content that you could get to. In an ideal world, EA would slow down with releasing new packs that put further pressure on The Sims 4's dated engine and instead work on fixing a lot of the game's issues. But I don't think that will happen because they know people will still buy the new packs, despite the myriad of issues that the latest DLCs have brought. Let's take a step back in time for a moment. Before The Sims 4 was released, The Sims 3 received its final 3 DLCs in 2013, one of which was Island Paradise. The Sims 3 was already well known for its substantial levels of lag and terrible optimization, but Island Paradise introduced a new world, Isla Paradiso, which was riddled with routing issues and buggy lots, making it almost unplayable. This world was never fixed by EA, who instead moved on to The Sims 4. The only people willing to fix it were modders. I have a feeling this will be the case whenever Sims 5 comes out, although we have no idea when that will be, but I don't think, with the state it's in, Sims 4 has much time left, especially if EA keep releasing more and more content for it, because the game can't keep up. The Sims 4 with all DLCs costs over $1,000 now, so players more than deserve a functioning game. It's on its last legs and cannot keep up with all the new content that EA are pumping out, which is a shame because there's still a lot of content that could be added to the game. Personally, I've been playing a lot of Sims 2 lately due to the current state of The Sims 4. I would recommend other Simmers play maybe the older installments that are more stable and have a ton of mods and fixes, as well as custom content and pack conversions if you really need to scratch that Sims itch. Anyway, The Sims 4 is on its last legs, and if EA doesn't put effort into bug fixing soon, then why should people bother playing the game?